Good afternoon, folks. Philip Myers from Myers Metal Detectors. Today's video is on coil size. I have a lot of people who email me or ask me in person. Most common question is, what size coil should I use for my detector? Now first I'm going to just show you the different sizes. Now we'll look at Garrett. Let's take a look at the Garrett AT Pro. This is the 8.5 by 11 coil. Now I don't have the coil in my hand because I didn't feel like getting one out of the box. But this is their standard coil size that they put on their detector, which most metal detecting manufacturers will put on their detector the overall best size for the multi-purpose use of a detector, which on the AT Pro is the 8.5 by 11 coil. Now the 8.5 by 11 coil is an excellent coil for relic hunting and for especially beach hunting if you're going to hunt the dry sand. And of course with the ground balance capabilities, the AT Pro, you can use it on the wet sand also. You can ground balance the salt out. 8.5 by 11 coil is a good overall size coil for it. But if you're going to do some relic hunting, that's good for that too. But here I'm in Tampa, Florida, and I actually do a lot of relic hunting, but it's hunting over ground that's been heavily used for the past 100 years or more. And for that type of hunting, I like to use a smaller coil. Now theoretically it's not going to go as deep, and in the AT line they have two smaller coils, a 5 by 8 coil. And I sold quite a few of these, and the people love them for coin hunting and for relic hunting in areas where there's been a lot of activity and a lot of trash, especially where you have like buildings torn down, houses moved, where metal is just flung everywhere from being in use for the past 100 years. I like to call it like urban relic hunting, and I do a lot of that here in Tampa. The 5 by 8 coil is an excellent coin shooter. Now when you get a coil like this, you always want to protect it with a coil cover, because that way if you were to wear down your coil or get a pinhole on it, you know, your coil is $120 some, whereas your coil cover is I think around $12. And that just snaps on there and protects it. If you wear through this, you throw it out and you get another one for 12 bucks and you protect your coil. The other size coil that Garrett has, and this is a really nice coil, is a 4.5 shooter. You're in a heavily trash infested park. It makes it easier for pinpointing and actually for separating the targets. You got a big chunk of iron or trash right next to a good target. You may miss it with your 8.5 by 11 coil because it gets masked out, you know, hitting that big chunk of iron, and then you mask the good coin that might be right next to it. 4.5 sniper coil would be excellent for that. Now in the whites line, which I probably didn't tell you, I am Philip Myers from Myers Metal Detectors in Tampa, Florida. I sell whites, Garrett, Tesoro, and Fisher. And in the whites line, I am the #1 whites local dealer in both Florida and Georgia. Probably the rest of the country too, but my distributor is only Florida and Georgia, so I got the trophy for that to prove it. In the whites line, I'll show you the coil that I use most often here in Tampa. And I do a lot of hunting in the Ybor City area, downtown Tampa area, wherever I can get permission to hunt on an older piece of property. And this coil size I use is a 5.3. Makes it a whole lot easier for pinpointing, recovering the target, because you've got a smaller search area. And I do know people who use these on the beach. I don't recommend doing that. I know one disabled person who uses a 5.3. It's just easier for him to hunt, so it makes a lot of sense for him. Now I do recommend you get the search coil cover for it also to protect it. Now this coil will not go as deep as your 10.5 or your Super 12 like comes on the MXT Pro. This coil will go deeper, but your trade-off is if you've got huge amounts of trash everywhere, it's going to be hard for you to locate that target. Whereas what I do is if it's a very productive site, I'll go over it with a large coil later. I'll go over the small coil first, and then I'll go over it 2 or 3 times, and I'll go over it with a large coil later. In the whites line, they have the 5.3. They also have the 4.6. Now I haven't used one of these, but I do know people who use it, and they get excellent results with this. And it's even smaller than the coil that I have. And White's also has I guess this is a 6x10 double D. Now these are good for relic hunting, also for prospecting. You'll see a lot of the prospecting detectors will have a 4.6 or a 6x10 double D coil. Those make it easier for pinpointing, but of course they won't go as deep as your stock coil that comes with your detector, but sometimes depth isn't a problem. When you've got a building or a sidewalk or road tear out, there's dirt everywhere, a lot of times the target might only be 2 or 3 inches deep, so these coils will work perfect. They'll separate the iron from the good targets, so a lot of times a smaller coil is actually better than the bigger coil. So size does matter. The larger coils will go deeper on coin-sized targets. Smaller coils will be more sensitive to smaller targets, shallower. So you have to, if it's a productive area, you'll want to hunt with both types of coils. So that's always a good option when you're getting your detector. A lot of the detectors, like the AT Pro or the MXT, I have a package on that. They'll sell the detector with 2 different size coils. And that's the benefit of that. Now if you're beach hunting, use your bigger coil. If you're relic hunting, use both coils. Go over it once with the smaller coil if it's a productive site, and then by all means put the larger coil on there and go over the same ground again. Maybe go over a different direction, maybe go over 2 or 3 different directions if it's a productive site. Anyway, I'm Philip Myers from Myers Metal Detectors in Tampa, and hopefully I shed a little light on the different coil sizes and why to use those. And the main factor is, if it's loaded with trash, you're going to want to use a smaller coil. I still hunt with very little discrimination, and if it's an old area, I'll dig everything that's not an iron target. And that's how I find a lot more stuff than most relic hunters in my area. So I'll dig more. If you dig more, you'll find more. Philip Myers from Myers Metal Detectors. Drop me an email or call me. I'm here in sunny Tampa, Florida, and I can ship you a detector if you want to, or if you got a question, I can answer that. If you got a good local dealer, stick with him. But if not, give me a call, 813-237-1939, or you can find me on the Friendly Metal Detecting Forum, and my name on there is FL Phil, so FLPHIL, Florida Phil. And if you have any questions, just drop me an email or give me a call. Thank you.